It's Spacevidcast 411 for Friday, April 22nd, 2011.
Earth Day!
Earth Day! We are the Internet's Benjamin and Carrie Ann Higginbotham will be your hosts for this episode. And you really should join us live because in the pre-show, because we're on a little bit before the show actually starts recording in that pun jest. In the pre-show, everyone was having fun.
Tutti frutti.
As soon as we rolled the open, we put a straight up end to that. No more fun from this moment forward. So certainly join us live. And speaking of joining us live, STS-134, right around the corner. We're like a week and some odd hours away. It's on the 29th, right?
Yes.
At almost 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
It's like 3:47.
Sure, actually, right there. Look at that. In the graphic, 7 days, 17 hours, 45 minutes, and 34 seconds.
Wow, creepy.
I know.
Of course, that is only true right this very moment. And if you're watching us on demand, pay no attention to that graphic.
I guess I did not think that one all the way through, did I? Well,
No,
you
I
can
like that, though.
do the offset from when the show actually was.
Okay, well, they recorded, and then now it's, okay, yes.
STS-134 is going to be really awesome. It's going to be scary busy. There are a ton of people showing up. First and foremost, I think STS-134 will possibly be busier than STS-135, which is the end of the Space Shuttle program, and that's because of, what's her name, Gifford?
Gabby Giffords. Wow.
Is that bad of me?
A little bit.
I'm interested in the space
What's that
side.
woman's name?
She was shot. Well, no, she was.
Yes.
And so there's going to be a lot of news organizations covering the launch because of that.
Yes.
And, I feel for her. It's bad that she was shot, but it's the wrong reason to be
Terrible.
covering a space shuttle launch.
Exactly.
But yeah, there are going to be a lot of people there. And
And then President Obama is going to be in town, so he's going to just sort of swing by, which somebody threw out a statistic that the last time a sitting president saw a shuttle launch was back when Bill Clinton was.
Yes, actually, I was doing research because I didn't know that any
Craziness.
president had seen a shuttle launch. So I was like, hey, this is going to be the first time. And then in my discovery, I was like, this is not the first time. And there's this hilarious, I should have grabbed the picture and brought it into the show. There is this hilarious picture. If you Google President Bush watching shuttle.
Is that what you Googled?
Yeah, actually Google that and go into like an image search on Google.
Right.
You will get the most hilarious picture. It's basically President Bush sitting what looks to be kind of like in an Oval Office with this old school, teeny tiny color television way off in the distance and him kind of sitting there going, it is hilarious.
So
Anyhow.
everyone who is watching this on demand, hit pause, go Google that, giggle, come back.
And come back.
All right.
Welcome back.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got, so President Obama will be, and you really totally jumped the gun because we weren't supposed to jump into that yet, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
But STS-134, we've got a lot of really great stuff lined up for you guys. We're going to have live interviews with a bunch of different people. For 133, we had Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yes.
We had Dr. Kobrick on the air, which was pretty neat.
Awesome.
It was pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
We had a bunch of astronauts of the NASA PAO. We had a couple NASA PAO on. And the really cool thing is you can call us via Skype and in your own voice and with your own picture via video Skype, you can ask your questions of the people we're interviewing. So if you have a question about why are we stopping the Space Shuttle program, what's next for NASA, ask any question you want of Bill Nye and the Planetary Institute. You can do that. And as far as I know, we're one of the only places at the Kennedy Space Center that allows you to call in. In addition, see these graphics at the bottom of the screen, they're really cool for the normal show. We've got modified versions of that made by Jet for Me, who's in the chat room right now, who also makes Mission Clock, which is the iPhone application. You can get it on your iPhone, iPod Touch, and now it's fully sized for an iPad, which is awesome. And that will give you T-minus information, L-minus information, and then vehicle ascent information. So if you're watching NASA TV, they kind of do their standard little, whatever we're going to do and blah, blah, blah,
right.
Vehicle ascending. But when you're watching us, you get all the NASA TV stuff, but in addition, you get that bar at the bottom that tells you how fast the vehicle's going. It's Mach speed, which is kind of, same thing, sort of. The G-forces being pushed onto the astronauts. Its altitude, its distance downrange, and these are all updated in real time. And it's really kind of fun to watch the numbers just kind of start going and just the altitude is I think the most fun to watch.
It's insane.
What's really interesting is
Very
not all
cool.
the numbers keep going up. Some of them go down and then back up again. It's interesting to watch the data off of the vehicle itself. So yeah, I mean, and these are things that, as far as I know, only Spacevidcast offers, and we do it all in high definition. So certainly, for STS-134, we'd love to have you join us for our live coverage right here on Spacevidcast. And if you've got a Roku box, get a bunch of people around the TV and plug it in, get it in your HD TV. We'll be streaming it on Roku in high definition. Make it like a little Super Bowl party, right? Cheer along, grab a chat room on your computer. Yeah, exactly. And participate in the launch event and have a bunch of fun, right? I mean, be part of the community, because this is more than just watching a launch. We don't want you to just watch. We want you to participate and be a part of the community and be a part of the fun and the excitement and the awesomeness that is the launch itself.
Treat it like a tweet up. NASA's having their own tweet up.
Exactly.
Space Camp is having their own tweet up, and you can have your own tweet up.
And at NASA's tweet up, Seth Green. You so excited? We're going to see if we can pull him over, and then he can talk about his dolls.
We won't be able to, because I'll be screaming and
Oh my God!
and probably passing out. So there won't be that. But as Tim pointed out, he would like to see LeVar Burton read a story to the Obama girls, which I think would be awesome. Little Reading Rainbow reference.
It'd be really awesome to get President Obama on the show, but here's a tip. President Obama will be nowhere near the media site. He will probably be at the the VIP location, which is
the VIP and the VAB.
whatever. 3-letter acronym. He'll probably be far away from us, so I highly doubt anyone from the media will be able to bring him in.
Troubles, you say Seth is too short for me to see, and yet I am also 5'4". I am probably the only one who can see him.
So, actually, Jet for Me has a valid point in the chat room. Wouldn't it be cool if President Obama made it over to the tweet up tent? Because you're already cleared through security at that point, right? That would be cool. Not saying it'll happen, but that sure would be awesome.
Okay, anyway.
Speaking of space shuttles, are you high-fiving?
Yeah, Chrissy said she's 5'4" too.
So are we allowed to virtually high-five
I don't see
in the
why
middle
not.
of a show?
But what?
All right, high-fiving the Spacevidcast community. Boom. All right.
Okay. Good times.
STS-135.
Yes.
They're trying to pack as much stuff. So the upcoming mission is STS-134. Then the final mission after that was Space Shuttle Atlantis. The last mission of the Space Shuttle program ever is STS-135.
Yes.
And they were packing a bunch of stuff into that. And right now, actually, the link on the screen really goes into a lot of detail because it's a pretty lengthy article of all the different things they can do. But it really comes down to they don't have enough time to unload the shuttle and do everything that they want to do.
Right.
And so they're starting to just cut a bunch of stuff off the mission in order to make it work. And yeah. That's, I mean, they're really starting to cut some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is one of the lines in the article is they wanted to cut PAO time. And I forgot exactly how they worded it, but it was something like, we want to cut PAO time and take like 12 hours out of it. However, due to the fact that this is the last mission, that is a highly unlikely scenario.
Kidding! We were just kidding.
That.
We weren't going to do that at all.
Yep. So, STS-135, it really sounds like it is an actual mission now. With NASA's budget being finalized through October at the very least, it sounds like they've got enough money. It's really, truly, as long as they can launch it before September, and it's currently slated for June. Almost at July.
June 28th.
As long as they launch
Not
it.
June 26th, which will be our anniversary. Just a little reminder.
As long as they launch it on time, or at least kind of within that general window.
Yes.
We'll be okay from a funding standpoint.
Yeah, Treble says, woohoo, STS-136. Not so much.
No. I believe we'd be out of external tanks. So as much as we may want another flight, I don't believe we can do it. We don't actually have the parts for another flight. So this truly is the last space shuttle flight, STS-135.
Besides
no more
Discovery,
extending it.
She's down and she's going to be, bussed over to Smithsonian. Enterprise is going to go up to New York, whether they like it or not.
Last week's show for that reference.
And then once Endeavour comes home, she'll be all cleaned up, shipped out to LA. Once Atlantis comes down, her final resting place will be KSC, and then we done.
We done. And then they're looking at building new heavy launch vehicles, which we're going to talk about in the later part of the show. Anything else in the beginning part?
No, Definitely.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about where NASA goes from here, because we've been talking about the Space Shuttle program, really cool stuff coming up, really cool launch coverage in high definition, but where does NASA go, say, next year at this very time? Where are they going to be? What's the space industry going to look like then? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For the entire crew, comm check.
MS1, MS2,
With hands held high, an era's last reach for the sky, we must rekindle the connection to all our space program has given, to the heart of America and America's hearts, to the engines of our economy and keeping our nation secure, or the sparkle in our children's eye, to all who made this possible, and to those that will continue the journey. Think outside the circle.
And we read you all loud and clear.
The block actually aborted early. The reason it happened is because we got an oven full.
They were mentioning Miko in orbit in the chat room while we were in break. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah.
We're sending Miko up on one of the...
No, Miko already been up.
Oh, when was Miko up?
Miko went up, I think, with the YN stuff. Let me see if I can find a picture for you.
Oh, well, that's kind
Sorry.
of cool. So for those who don't know, Miko is the mascot for the Space Tweep Society, which you can get at spacetweepsociety.org, I think.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so it's a cute little bird icon, and there's actually Flying Jenny has in the chat room has a hand knitted version of Miko, which is just adorable and cute. And so they were in the chat room talking about how Miko had gone up, and I had no idea. 2 Mikos went up apparently.
I can't
There you
believe you didn't know.
I know. I apparently pay no attention to what's going on inside of the. I know I'm a terrible space tweep. Anyhow, that's all right. That's all right. I
Okay.
just thought it was interesting.
It is.
So before the break, we talked about the space shuttles and what's coming up. The end of an era is very, very close.
Yes.
Very likely this year, the space shuttle program will come to a complete and total end. And the space transportation system, done. Which is going to be weird because that's what I grew up with. I mean, that's all I know. Oh, the patches flew, or did Miko fly?
Miko,
Well, on the patch.
yeah.
Okay, I thought like the little stuffed doll Miko flew.
No, but the patches.
Well, patches are cool.
Miko's
the patch
on
is
the
cool.
patch, and
I got it.
Miko's awesome.
So where do we go from here? The first step is something called CCDev
Yes.
2, and this is where NASA is awarding funding to private space companies to develop spaceships for sending humans into space.
Yes.
We've got the COTS program, which is sending cargo into space, and SpaceX has one part of the COTS program, and they're very, very close to actually fulfilling their first launches for sending cargo to the International Space Station. They've got 1 or 2 test flights left of the Falcon 9 to prove that they can do it, that they can approach the space station with their Dragon capsule safely, dock safely, and then transport cargo back and forth.
Yeah,
Once they
huge.
prove that, then yeah, SpaceX is boom. They're done. They're down with the cargo transportation to and from the space station. But that still leaves a gaping hole in human spaceflight for the U.S. space program, in that we would be unable to send our own astronauts using a U.S. program to the International Space Station once the shuttle retires. That's where CCDev comes in.
Yes.
We're giving that money to those private space companies, and there were something like 22 companies that bid for CCDev, and there were 4 winners. Now, SpaceX is one of them, and it was, I don't want to say expected, but expected. I would be very, very surprised if CCDev, if NASA did not give money through CCDev to SpaceX, and they were the second largest winner, 70 some odd million for them?
75.
$75 million for them to develop and modify the crew capsule and make it basically a launch abort system for the Dragon crew capsule so that it's a safe launch vehicle for humans. Other winners include Boeing,
Yes.
They got the largest chunk, and that's for the CTS 100, I think it is.
I'm trying to find it, possibly.
So Boeing got something like 93 million or some very large...
92.3 million.
92.3 million, there you go. And so that's for their crew capsule, which they had already started designing. And then the other two were kind of a bit of a surprise because there were other companies in this, like ATK, United Space Alliance, United Launch Alliance.
Right.
None of them made it into... None of them, they were part of the 22.
ULA, USA,
Yep.
huge
Large
big
companies.
names.
Now, if you don't know these names, when you're watching the Space Shuttle launch, you're going to see these patches on the back, and I can't remember who does what. I think it's USA that does the shuttles. Chat room, help me. Is it USA or ULA that does the shuttles? I think it's USA that does the shuttles. So United Space Alliance, you'll see these big, huge patches on their back. They're the ones, great. So they're the ones who fly the Space Shuttle. So these guys really know what they're doing, and they didn't win. In fact, it was Blue Origin who got the third ticket, and then I don't remember, was it Orbital Sciences who got the fourth?
So I'm sorry. Sierra Nevada got 80 million for their small plane design, and then Blue Origin got the 22 million work on its capsule design.
So Blue Origin is a Paul Allen company, if I remember correctly.
Jeff Bezos.
It's a Bezos company.
Yep.
I screwed that one up hardcore. But
So close though.
Crazy billionaire. This crazy billionaire or that crazy billionaire.
Jeff Bezos, who founded Amazon.com, so that's why that name is familiar there.
He's not entirely sure what he owns right now because his entire portfolio is on EC2, so he can't get to it at this moment in time.
Yeah, if you can't-
that's a tech joke. That's a little jab at Amazon.
Let's see if they've turned it off and turned it back on again yet.
But Blue Origin, we don't know a whole lot about them in that they're a very, very private company. They don't release a whole lot of information. I haven't seen a whole lot come out of them. So we'll see where that goes. But this is a great first step. Now imagine for a moment, for the last 30 years or so, we've had one vehicle. We've had three different... How do I want to word this? We've had one design of a vehicle to launch into space. And if there was a problem with that design, so if something happened to the space shuttle, we would ground the entire fleet because they're all designed essentially the same.
Yep.
Whereas now we'll have 3 or 4 designs, all completely different. So if there's a problem with the Blue Origin design, then we'll just continue using Boeing's design or SpaceX's design. Or if there's a problem with SpaceX, vice versa.
Right.
So we shouldn't have any potential weird gaps in our space program.
options.
We got options.
Like the first time ever.
Kinda.
Nice.
Yeah, actually. And these are private space companies, so they should be able to do it better, cheaper, and faster than the government would be able to do. The government's just essentially buying tickets on these. And with some of the announcements coming out of SpaceX, they're radically less expensive than anything the industry has seen before.
Yeah.
So now, sending humans into space is still very, very expensive. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's going to overnight be $5 a person. But we're shaving hundreds of millions of dollars off these ticket prices.
Yeah.
So that's where the industry is kind of going. Stuff like CCDev, COTS, these types of programs. A lot of people are upset with the space shuttle program ending. But really, it's a new era. It's a really amazing era that we're going into with all these private designs. It's going to be pretty neat.
Well, it's nice that it's giving us, kind of like you were saying, it's giving us more options. We don't have to continually rely on the Russian space program or ESA or something like that. We can kind of hold our own.
Roscosmos.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, they're doing a great job. But it's just nice that we can sort of, keep it in-house. USA style.
USA, but not the company USA, because they didn't make it into CCDev 2.
Yay! Neither did Alliant.
You know what?
Alliant Tech.
Hang on, you know what? SpaceX, ATK,
Crazy.
yep. So their world headquarters based here, so we're
Right.
rooting for ATK just because, hometown. Here's the thing, though, to any of these companies that didn't get the CCDev funding, and I realize this is a bit of an idealistic view and the world doesn't work this way, but let's use SpaceX as an example.
Right.
SpaceX developed a lot of their own rockets and design on their own dime. Prior to any COTS money or anything else, they were starting to come out with the Falcon 1 and had already started the design of the Falcon 9.
Right.
With their own money, they started to make this stuff go, and that's part of the reason they got to where they're at now.
Yeah.
That and being scrappy and being kind of in a startup mode and having really great, brilliant people. There's no reason that ATK couldn't do exactly the same thing. Just because they don't get a government contract doesn't mean that they have to scrap the program. They can continue to say, you know what, we're going to self-fund this thing, and if you guys want to buy a ticket on it, great. If not, whatever. There's a market here.
We can do it anyway.
We're going to make it happen,
Yeah,
right?
no, which is impressive, I have to say.
Actually, that's one thing I've always wondered. Let's say SpaceX didn't get the CCDF money. Would they continue to make Dragon a crew-ready capsule, or would they keep
Interesting.
it cargo only? Would they pay for it themselves? I think they would pay for it, but I think it would take longer because it would have to come out of their own pocket.
Yeah, probably.
So,
Probably. Agreed.
yep. As the chat room's saying, SpaceX made it into space themselves. And, a lot of people in the chat room are basically saying, yeah, I think,
Yeah, Jeffrey is saying Elon wants to go to Mars. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's essentially what SpaceX was born out of. And I think that's part of the reason why they're the darling child of the space industry. Because unlike all these other contractors who are like, oh, we need government money, SpaceX is like, we need to go to Mars. Whatever it takes, let's go. Right? So it's not we have to, certainly they're a business, right? And they need to make money, they need to be profitable, but they also, they have this spirit, this something about them that the other companies seem to be lacking.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to root for a Boeing. Not that they're bad people or they're not really, don't have really great designs, but they don't have that same spirit of, forget it, let's just go, this is the mission. You know what, I'm going to skip ahead, and actually speaking of that same thing, did I miss it in the, Lockheed Martin talking about they want to go to a Martian moon, and I can't pronounce the moon.
It's Deimos.
D-E-I-M-O-S. Deimos?
But it's Deimos. It's not Deimos though, because I was
Chat room will correct us and yell at us.
Deimos.
Deimos.
See, I'm getting Deimos and Deimos and Deimos and Deimos.
The chat room is pronouncing it 5 different ways as well. So, all right, anyhow, keep going.
See, I'm getting Deimos and Deimos.
Whatever.
So Deimos, we'll go with that. Lockheed has this interesting project called Project Red Rocks, which suggests that they should land on that particular moon of Mars, as opposed to Mars itself. Thank you. Well, because Mars has 2 moons, so not this one, but that one. Instead of landing on Mars itself, because you don't have to deal with a gravitational pull of Mars.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier to sort of work with in that respect. And they want to send supplies ahead of time in January of 2031, and then eventually send astronauts in 2033, which the astronauts would spend 18 months orbiting Mars on the moon, and then return in November of 2035.
The advantage of those particular dates is the alignment of Mars to Earth, and
Yes.
where they're kind of at for a launching schedule.
Yes.
In addition, there's basically an EM shield that would be generated by our own sun around that time. So the solar radiation would be lessened.
Right.
So it'd be easier for us to get there. So shorter trip, less radiation in space, and then the reason we land on a moon is that, like you said, no gravity, no giant Martian gravity well that we'd then have to escape to get back home. It's just like escaping. It's kind of like landing on our own moon, actually.
Right.
It's very similar to that. So that's what they're proposing. What I didn't see in any of that article is Lockheed saying, you know what, much like I was just talking about, we're going to pay for this ourselves.
Right. They were just like, hey, we have this awesome plan!
Right?
And it's awesome!
But isn't this what separates the Lockheed Martins and the Boeings from the SpaceXs of the world, where SpaceX says, hey, we've had this awesome plan, let's figure out how to make it go. We don't,
Right.
Lockheed is like, hey, government, you need to pay for this. And SpaceX is like, let's just figure out how to pay for this. I don't care where it comes
As
from.
Flying Jenny and I would say, all you have to do is fire off a rocket. So, you just come up with an awesome plan and it just happens. That's
Now, why that?
how
why
you keep
that
them
mo-
motivated.
Why that moon and not Phobos?
Because Phobos, if we are,
Is it Phobos? Hang on.
if we're going to go ahead and agree on that particular enunciation of that, it's closer to Mars, and so you might have to deal with some of the gravitational pull of Mars itself.
Ah.
Whereas Deimos is further out.
Yes. Yeah. That's actually
Which
really
also, to a
important.
certain extent, means that it's closer to us. Because you've got Phobos or Phobos or
Phobos.
Phobos. You got Mars, and then Phobos, and then you got Deimos, which is like way out here.
Whoa.
It's impressive. So anyway,
That sounds like a fun plan. I would love to see if someone can actually do it, but
Somebody just-
talking about it and actually doing it are 2 different things.
2 different things. But it's a good plan. I mean, it seems relatively reasonable and sound, and like they've really thought it all the way through. And then they're like, okay, cool.
Now, speaking of talking about it, China is talking about building a next generation rocket. They're coming out with a Long March 5, so this would be bigger than that.
Yeah.
That would be capable of sending 130 tons.
Yes. It's 5 times larger than China's current largest rocket, which is crazy. It's a little impressive. Yeah, very, very interesting. Although they did not provide a timetable for the development of this. As they said, the Chinese scientists said they had to acquire a number of advanced technologies to develop it. Okay. Awesome.
Yoink. Well,
I
China
just
was
need to
busy.
develop an FTL drive, and then I'm there.
No, it's probably just they're missing gaps in their knowledge base, and they know it, and
Yeah.
so they just need to figure out what those gaps are.
Very interesting, though.
So anyhow, the point is, China is seriously looking to go to the moon.
Yes.
And sending humans to the moon, not just sending robots to the moon, but actually sending humans to the moon. If there was any country on this planet that would be aligning themselves and be capable of doing that, it would be China. If anyone were to say it, I would absolutely believe that yes, that's something
I see them as being highly motivated to do so, yes.
But I heard from a little birdie that that's got kind of our State Department in a tizzy, because while there are treaties that say, the moon is not owned by any government, the law kind of says you stick a flag in it, you own it.
Kinda,
right?
a little bit. Finders keepers, and you kind of have to be there to claim it, okay?
So yeah, it is possible that we are looking at, whether we like it or not, Space Race 2.0. I'm a little bit scared. I'm 50-50 on this, and I love leave your comments in the chat room, in YouTube and in the Spacevidcast chat room, and our Facebook, wherever you want. I'd love to know what you think about the potential Space Race 2.0. Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? Let's take a look at Space Race 1.0 with Apollo going to the moon. We put humans on the moon. What a fantastic feat that was.
Right.
And then we recoiled so much because it was so expensive.
Right.
And we've been stuck in low Earth orbit for 30 years. And we have no plans to get out of it. So
Right.
is Space Race 2.0 a good thing, or is it the exact same thing rehashed over again?
I think at the moment, particularly being an American, I will quantify this statement as such, being an American, and because we won the space race the first time, that it sounds like a great idea. Awesome, all we need is a little kick in the butt, and then we're there. That's, of course, with this sort of assumption that America would win again.
I don't think it's a safe assumption.
No, I didn't say it was a safe assumption. But my initial knee-jerk reaction is, well, we won the first time, why wouldn't we do it again?
What's interesting
Well,
is
let's do it!
It took us essentially 9 years to get there the first time.
Right.
I think if we were to start right now, it would actually take us longer.
Interesting.
I don't think, the technology I don't think would be the big hurdle. I think the politics would be the bigger hurdle. I think the politicians would get in the way. They'd be, trying to get jobs in their areas, and they'd be making these insane requirements for a vehicle that NASA would be unable to build, as proven by the politicians putting insane requirements on NASA to build vehicles that are very hard to build.
Right. No, so that's my initial, and I think there's probably quite a few Americans that would say that just right off the bat. But it's interesting. This is making our chat room go
Oh yeah, it is. Well, no, there are a lot of debates. Like
Huge.
A bit earlier, everyone was saying, no, this is a good thing. This is going to be really good. A few
Right.
people are kind of on the fence saying it's both. Well, that's a cop-out answer. But a lot of really great points, such as NASA is now risk averse.
Right.
And I can't disagree with that. They are. It's because you don't want to make the news of the big, huge rocket exploding. But when you go back to the Gemini Mercury Apollo era, Mercury Gemini Apollo, sorry, look at how many rockets we blew up. Just rocket after rocket after rocket after rocket. We blew all these rockets up.
Right.
We had Apollo 13. It was a crippled vehicle. Came back. We still launched 14,
but
15,
that's
16,
also,
17.
That's also saying that it would be NASA at the forefront of the American part of this race.
Valid part of the argument. This is fun stuff. Valid argument.
Right?
What if it's not NASA? What if it's private companies like SpaceX?
Right?
Right? Because then they kind of control it a little bit more.
Because you know darn well that as soon as any of the American GLXP people get up to the moon, and Americans would be like, "Woo, America!" Right? You know?
America!
Tutti frutti, yeah. So
Tutti frutti.
Right? Oh, not saying that I'm any GLXP team that gets the money, bonus.
Well,
okay,
hang on.
I think that's awesome.
Porkchop says SpaceX is not America, it's SpaceX, which is true, but SpaceX is an American company, which means there will be American pride behind it. And
Yes.
who's to say, why does it have to be a government that puts humans back on the moon? Why can't it be a private company? Why can't it be a SpaceX, a Blue Origin, a Maston Space Systems, an Armadillo Aerospace? I don't believe either one of them is targeting the moon, but why couldn't it be one of them, right? So it's kind of it's a pride thing.
It is run by a South African, but he is also an American citizen at this point.
Yeah, Elon is a U.S. citizen.
It
is a U.S. company.
It's a
as
U.S.
well.
company.
Yep, exactly. And as Jet for Me says, Maston did win a Lunar Lander Challenge.
Right?
So, something to think about.
Just saying.
And you know what? The chat room is going berserk. Keep this conversation going. Don't stop it. Go to YouTube. Or if you're in YouTube, leave your comments on YouTube. What
Please
do you
do.
think? Is Space Race, here are my questions for you guys. Space Race 2.0, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? What are some of the pros and cons? And then we'll outline some of these things, I think, after we get back from STS-134 and or during our STS-134 coverage, because great time to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then even that, who do you think is going to make it? Who's going to make it back to the moon next? Because someone's going to put humans on the moon again.
Right.
Someday. Maybe it's 1,000 years from now. I don't know. But someday humans will go back to the moon. Is it going to be a government? If so, which one? If it's going to be a private company, if so, which one? We need to get like a moon pool going. I think
we do.
I think that's illegal, so I'm not saying this on camera. But
Probably.
wouldn't that be fun? You win no prizes, no cash value. But yeah, you just who was right? Huzzah! Pat on the back.
Yay.
Chris Radcliffe, don't let Cisco buy SpaceX.
Copy that, because I might have to recall it, eh? All right.
That is a fantastic tech joke.
That's actually very funny, as far as I'm concerned.
And then finally, did you do the U.S. military
Negative.
Lego thing?
No.
Oh, I don't know much about that
thought
either.
that was you.
No, that wasn't me. So we're just going to skip that in this
Cool.
particular show.
More Lego and more military.
Yay.
Perfect together.
On that note, leave your comments, and we're going to see you guys for STS-134. And in closing, what I'd like to do is start you guys, not at the very beginning, but kind of some of the first parts of Space Shuttle Endeavour, because this is the final flight of Space Shuttle Endeavour.
This is cool.
After our close, we've got a nice little clip of Space Shuttle Endeavour at the very, very beginning. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to see you. We're going to try to be back next week at this time, but we are only giving that a 5% chance of go.
Yeah, we're not really sure where
we
we're
will
gonna
be in
find-
Florida at the time. I don't know if we're going to be able to do a live show. So at the very least, we will see you back here for the live launch coverage of Space Shuttle Endeavour in high definition. Have a great night.
T-minus 31 seconds.
Go for auto sequence start.
Endeavour's 4 redundant computers have primary control of critical vehicle functions for the remainder of the count. T-minus 20 seconds. Sound suppression water will be released on the launch platform. T-minus 12, 11, 10, 9. We have a go for engine start. 6, 5. We have main engine start. 2, 1, 0. Engines are now at 100% of rated power. 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 10, plus 11, plus 14, and we have an abort.
Pass is going 101, LVD 1 and BFS 0.
And everything occurred according to plan today. Safing operations are underway.
Exits 1, 2, and 3 are now showing post-shutdown standby, and we are go for orbiter AP shutdown. Copy. No MPS fire detector tripped at this time.
And the abort is planned as normal for a flight readiness firing to shut down the main engines.
For hydrogen, please.
It's Spacevidcast 411 for Friday, April 22nd, 2011.
Earth Day!
Earth Day. We are the Internet's Benjamin and Carrie Ann Higginbotham will be your hosts for this epic episode. And you really should join us live because in the pre-show, because we're on a little bit before the show actually starts recording, and that pun just. In the pre-show, everyone was having fun.
Tutti frutti.
As soon as we rolled the open, we put a straight up end to that. No more fun from this moment forward. So certainly join us live. And speaking of joining us live, the distance and him kind of sitting there going, it is hilarious.
So
Anyhow,
everyone who is watching this on demand, hit pause, go Google that, giggle, come back.
and come back.
All right.
Welcome back.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got, so President Obama will be, and you really totally jumped the gun because we weren't supposed to jump into that yet, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
But STS-134, we've got a lot of really great stuff lined up for you guys. We're going to have live interviews with a bunch of different people. For 133, we had Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yes.
We had Dr. Kobrick on the air, which was pretty neat.
Awesome.
It was pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
We had a bunch of astronauts of the NASA PAO. We had a couple NASA PAO on. And the really cool thing is you can call us via Skype and in your own voice and with your own picture via video Skype, you can ask your questions of the people we're interviewing. So if you have a question about why are we stopping the Space Shuttle program, what's next for NASA, ask any question you want of Bill Nye and the planet, STS-134. Right around the corner. We're like a week and some odd hours away. It's on the 29th, right?
Yes.
At almost 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
It's like 3:47.
Sure, actually, right there. Look at that. In the graphic, 7 days, 17 hours, 45 minutes, and 34 seconds.
Wow, creepy.
I know.
Of course, that is only true right this very moment. And if you're watching us on demand, pay no attention to that graphic.
I guess I did not think that one all the way through, did I? Well,
No,
you
I
can
like that, though.
do the offset from when the show actually was.
Okay, well, they recorded, and then now it's, okay, yeah.
STS-134 is going to be really awesome. It's going to be scary busy. There are a ton of people showing up. First and foremost, I think STS-134 will possibly be busier than STS-135,
Yeah.
which is the end of the Space Shuttle program, and that's because of, what's her name, Gifford?
Gabby Giffords.
Gabby.
Wow.
Is that bad of me?
A little bit.
I'm interested in the space
What's that
side.
woman's name?
She was shot. Planetary Institute. You can do that. And as far as I know, we're one of the only places at the Kennedy Space Center that allows you to call in. In addition, see these graphics at the bottom of the screen, they're really cool for the normal show. We've got modified versions of that made by Jet for Me, who's in the chat room right now, who also makes Mission Clock, which is the iPhone application. You can get it on your iPhone, iPod Touch, and now it's fully sized for an iPad, which is awesome. And that will give you T-minus information, L-minus information, and then vehicle ascent information. So if you're watching NASA TV, they kind of do their standard little, whatever we're going to do and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
vehicle ascending. But when you're watching us, you get all the NASA TV stuff, but in addition, you get that bar at the bottom that tells you how fast the vehicle's going, its Mach speed, which is kind of, same thing, sort of. The G-forces being pushed onto the astronauts, its altitude, its distance downrange, and these are all updated in real time. And it's really kind of fun to watch the numbers just kind of start going, and just the altitude is I think the most fun to watch.
It's insane.
What's really interesting is
Very
not all
cool.
the numbers keep going up. No, she was,
Yes.
and so there's going to be a lot of news organizations covering the launch because of that.
Yes.
And I feel for her. It's bad that she was shot, but it's the wrong reason to be
Terrible.
covering a space shuttle launch.
Exactly.
But yeah, there are going to be a lot of people there, and
And then President Obama is going to be in town, so he's going to just sort of swing by, which somebody threw out a statistic that the last time a sitting president saw a shuttle launch was back when Bill Clinton was.
Yes, actually, I was doing research because I didn't know that any
Craziness.
president had seen a shuttle launch. So I was like, hey, this is going to be the first time. And then in my discovery, I was like, this is not the first time. And there's this hilarious, I should have grabbed the picture and brought it into the show. There is this hilarious picture. If you Google President Bush watching shuttle.
Is that what you Googled?
Yeah, actually Google that and go into like an image search on Google.
Right.
You will get the most hilarious picture. It's basically President Bush sitting what looks to be kind of like in an Oval Office with this old school, teeny tiny color television way off in the